Hello and welcome to week 12 of English 213. This week, after watching the week 12 lecture, I'd like you to read the introduction found on pages 1341 to 1369. Then read the biography about John Donne found 1370 to 1373 in our book. Then I'd like you to read the following poems: The Flea and Song, The Sun Rising and The Bait, A Valediction Forbidding Mourning, and The Relic, Sappho to Philaenis, and Holy Sonnets number 14. I'd also like you to visit the website. That's A Valediction Forbidding Mourning Close Reading. It's an excellent close reading exercise that'll take you through how to close read a John Donne poem. Then it's your turn. You're going to write your own reflection journal where you do a close reading of any of the poems that we have not talked about this week that are found in this list of poems. So let's start by taking a closer look at two of Donne's poems. But before we do, I just want to talk a little bit about who John Donne was. He's a poet who is known for his startling images and his use of wit. He uses extended metaphors, which are, in poetry, when you use an extended metaphor, it becomes a conceit. And what he's doing in his work is he's really reinvigorating the cliches of love poetry. He's taking on, just in the way that Shakespeare did, he's taking on the Petrarchian sonnet and the ideas of love poetry and turning them on their head, quite literally. And he really demands from his reader a mental alertness and an engagement. So you're always looking when you're reading a John Donne poem for something to, turn on its head, to be read two different ways, like a double entendre. His most famous sequence is called Songs and Sonnets, and they were originally published in 1633. They've pretty much given his reputation ever since. And these two poems we're going to talk about are from that early collection. So the first one is called The Flea, and it's found on page 1373. It is a lyric poem, and basically the summary of the poem is that Donne is drawing from his beloved's attention to a flea that sucked both their bloods, and develops from this theme a series of arguments for having sex, basically. Let's look at the poem a little bit more closely. The Flea. Mark but this flea, and mark in this how little that which thou deniest me is. Me it sucked first, and now sucks thee, and in this flea our two bloods mingled be. Thou knowest that this cannot be said, a sin or shame or loss of maidenhead. Yet this enjoys before it woo, and pampered swells with one blood made of two, and this, alas, is more than we would do. So in the first stanza, he's talking about how he's making a plea to his beloved that, why shouldn't they have sex since their blood has already come together in the body of the flea? And he makes a reference to his beloved's maidenhead, which is her virginity. Let's look at the second stanza. Oh, stay, 3 lives and 1 flea spare, when we almost, nay, more than married are. This flea is you and I, and this our marriage bed and marriage temple is. Though parents grudge and you we are met, and cloistered in these living walls of jet. Though use make you apt to kill me, let not to that self-murder added be, and sacrilege 3 sins in killing 3. So he's urging her not to kill off the flea, which is the holy trinity of their bloods together with the flea's blood. And you can see he's very, very witty in this poem. He's being silly about the idea of the conceit, the extended metaphor of the flea. Cruel and sudden hast thou since purpled thy nail in blood of innocence? Wherein could this flea guilty be, except in that drop which it sucked from thee? Yet thou triumph, and sayest that thou findest not thyself nor me the weaker now. 'Tis true, then learn how false fears be, just so much honor when thou yieldest to me. will waste as this flea's death took life from thee. So again, he uses in the final stanza, she's killed the flea, and he's, saying don't let his life be in vain, and that they should have sex. So it's a very silly poem that's really a plea to his lover to have sex with him. We're also going to be looking at The Sun Rising, which is a very different poem. The sunrise, but I do want to draw your attention to the poems that are in between that you guys are going to be reading. Remember that when you close read the poem, I really want you to think about what kind of poem, what form of poem it is, if you can, and think about the word choices, what the words mean. Remember to read the notes at the bottom of the page. That'll really help you. You can use the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary. We have a free subscription to it at our library if you go to our library webpage. So let's look at The Sun Rising. This is an aubade, and an aubade is a French poem. It's from a lover writing to he's a lover writing to his beloved upon their parting at dawn. So they've snuck out of their houses in the middle of the night, they've gotten together, and now he has to leave, and so he leaves this poem. Summary of the poem is: a poet berates the sun for interrupting their lovemaking and develops a view of their bedroom as a world unto itself. So the sun is interrupting this special place that they've come to be. The Sun Rising. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus, through windows and through curtains, call on us? Must to thy motions lovers' seasons run? Saucy pedantic wretch, go chide late schoolboys and sour apprentices. Go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride. Call country aunts to harvest offices. Love all alike, no season knows nor clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. Thy beams so reverend and strong, why shouldest thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink? But that I would not lose her sight so long. If her eyes have not blinded thine, look, and tomorrow late tell me whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou leftest them, or lie here with me. Ask for those kings whom thou sawest yesterday, and thou shalt hear, all here in one bed lay. She is all states, and all princes I, nothing else. Princes do but play us, compared to this. All honors mimic, all wealth alchemy. Thou, sun, art half as happy as we, in that the world's contracted thus. Thine age ask ease, and since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. Shine here to us, and thou art everywhere. This bed thy center is, these walls thy sphere. So this poem, written in 1633, is playing with the conceit that first he's trying to get rid of the sun, telling the sun to go bug somebody else, and then kind of one-ups the sun, saying that they are actually the center of the universe, and that the whole world will be changed because of them. So go back through this poem and really look at it, and look how it's playing with the idea of when the sun came, it was basically time for the lovers to part. They'd have to leave each other, and so it became it was really playing with that conceit. And also remember that according to older astronomy, the Earth was the center of the sun's orbit, and the sun's motion was contained within its sphere. That's what everyone believed at this time. All right. So before you begin your close reading exercise, please don't forget to go and look at the website that closely looks at a valediction for forbidding mourning. It really goes through a great exercise for you to understand that poem. Then I'd like you to choose one of the poems by John Donne that I didn't discuss in detail, and that isn't a valediction forbidding mourning, that you were assigned to read this week, and offer a close reading of his poem. Please provide the following: a summary of what you think the poem is about, definitions of words you don't understand, and an explanation as to how this helps you better understand the poem. Don't forget to use things like the OED to help you look at the history of a word, how it was used then. a brief description as to how this poem fits into the wealth of poems written by John Donne. Hint, just make sure you look at the biography. How old was he when he wrote it? What, according to the biography, was going on in his life? Your reflection should be at least 500 words. Please use evidence from the text, so quotations from the poem, to support the points that you're making. It's due on Monday at 11:59 p.m. I am switching what we were doing before, which was our conversation, to this, due to the fact that so many are not posting their conversations by Friday, which was the due date. It's not fair to everyone else if they only have 2 other responses to respond to. So please know that if you are in this class and you are not posting anything, you will be dropped. If you do not do anything for 2 weeks, that's considered low attendance, and you'll be dropped from the course. So if that's you and you don't want to be dropped, please come see me immediately. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to be talking about the poet George Herbert and Andrew Marvell. I will see you hopefully online.